Run like I don't got an estate. Yeah. Run it up. Yeah.
There's nothing more to be said, my friend.
Wow. I mean, usually you just at least wait 20 minutes before you start talking foolishness, right? But so you just want it right off of the bat. All right, cool.
Welcome once again. I want to welcome my brothers to this program, the Box Score Live. You can like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, everyone. We would appreciate it. We thank you for all the views and the comments over the last couple of weeks. We truly appreciate it. But you know what? Let's not wait any further. Let's get right into the thick of things. No, Bayern Munich just won an unprecedented sextuple. Guys, what they've been able to achieve, only one other team have done. That is the Barcelona under Pep Guardiola. How magnificent is such a performance? And we can start with you, Marley. How we see about that?
It's a great achievement, to be honest. I just resent the fact that Barcelona did it already too, and that was kind of be like the benchmark for it. But in all honesty, it's a very good achievement. When we think about where Bayern was before Flick took over, for a variety of reasons. But when we think about where they were and the type of damaging defeats and stuff that was happening at the point, and then when he came in, he switched to that. He almost had a Zidane effect in many ways.
Indeed.
Yeah, he came in. He came in the players, and I think the reason why I say so is because of how he handles the players, the management. It reminds me a little bit of Zidane. Switched around a couple of players, allowed a couple of players to play where they had been begging to play for a little while, a la Joshua Kimmich and one or two others, and he switched it up, and kudos to them. It worked. What they did is not easy to do at all, to maintain that type of high level for a whole year, a year and some essentially is very, very difficult. We even saw them have a couple blips at the beginning of the season too, because they truncated season and so on. But they credit to them again to start through it. They came back, they found the farm, and they pretty much sweep the floor, man. So kudos to them. Well done.
And what you think, Jilts? Sir Jilts, your mic is off.
Yeah.
I'm here. Basically, Marley just hit the nail on the head with everything he said. The only thing I will add is that you just basically have to put in that, due to the pandemic, you have to do the pause and then they restart. They came back strong. They came back and they wrapped it up. Leading on from the Champions League, they just took all the trophies. And kudos to Flick. Is a one of a kind achievement, as we know only one other manager did it before, and as a bracket on its own, there's not much more you can do from there. Just hopefully try to retain all of them, and if he does that again, well, he win a bracket on his own. So kudos to him, and like I said, there's not much more in regards to that.
Before we go forward, right? It's something I needed to get off of my chest, right? I needed to get it off my chest. No. In the final, bear this in mind, they've gone to the Club World Cup is a trophy that is necessary to complete the sextuple. And there was one man, he scored a brace in the semi-final. People tend to say that he's not the best striker in the world, but I believe, and I continue to state, he is the best striker in the world. He scored a brace. In the final, he impacted and influenced the game. And if not for his performance, Pavard would have not had the open bar to hit the goal to
performance is that? What performance is
Hold
that?
on, sir. Hold on, sir. So without Lewandowski, the best striker in the world, who has scored enormous goals for Bayern Munich, this would have not been possible. And I had to make sure I made this point because the other lad below me had a lot to say.
What's your approach with that?
The show. You always talk about the lack of goals, the lack of decisiveness Lewandowski has over the course of his career. And he has shown in these two fixtures that he impacted the game decisively. There's nothing more to be said, my friend.
Wow. I mean, usually you at least wait 20 minutes before you start talking foolishness, right? But so you just want it right off of the bat. All right, cool. That's cool. First of all, I would love to piggyback off of what the guy said before me. Not you. I'm talking about Jilks and Marley. I'd give credit to Flick, right? Because to basically manage and I don't want to say motivate. Players get motivated intrinsically to win these sorts of competitions, in my opinion. But in order to the management that comes along with maintaining this sort of level of football, you can't discredit the manager for it. It has a lot to do with the person in charge, right? In any sport, like for a team to be this dominant this long, it comes down to the manager. So as great as their personnel is, and Joshua Kimmich is one of my personal favorite players, right? As great as their personnel is, I would like to also take my hat off to Hansi Flick because I think he's done a remarkable job. No, since you had to get that off of your chest, I've never once said that Lewandowski isn't a great striker, right? The man is a world-class striker. Our discussion was on the best in the world, and I just said, I'm glad you mentioned that because I want you to recall as well, we saw a stat in midweek that said since, what was the time frame? It was in the last 3 years or something like that, that he doesn't have the most crucial goals, like clinical, or not clinical, I can't remember what the exact term was, but in terms of like goals in the like 80th to 90th minute, right?
Clutch goals. It was clutch goals.
Yeah, I believe that was the term, clutch goals.
Clutch goals. Thank you. I know who was leading the list. The same man that I said to you, I still have as number one, right? I want to ask you two questions, you Dom. I don't want any extended soliloquy from you. I want a yes or no. Did Lewandowski score in the Champions League final?
No, sir.
Good. Did he score in the FIFA World Club Cup final?
He made the assist.
No.
He made the assist.
No.
He made the assist. That is an integral part of the game. Come on.
He made what assist? A ball was floated in.
And the goalkeeper
I would like you to let me speak. I would like you to let me speak, please. Thank you. The ball was floated in. He did what any striker would do, and that's chase the ball. The keeper dropped the football, and it ended up at Pavard's feet, and the man touched it home.
You would coerce people's thoughts with that statement.
What did Lewandowski do there?
With a header, and the goalkeeper obviously tried to claim the ball.
Did Lewandowski touch the football?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Yes, he did.
Look at you.
No, look at you.
On a blessed Sunday, boy. On a blessed Sunday, boy. On a blessed Sunday that we sit down here to record this, you can come with this blasphemy. You know what?
He reaching, AJ? He reaching?
Bruh.
He's reaching.
Jack Reacher, boy.
We can put our conversation to bed and we can revisit that at a later stage. I know this will come up some point during the season because Lewandowski's been on a tear. He has 24 league goals.
Once the game in name final, he can score. Once the game in name final, he's going to score.
Well, we will see, sir. And we will revisit the conversation. You can bet. I will return with that.
We had this discussion nearly a year ago, and he played two finals and couldn't score. So we can come back to it for sure.
We will. So going on to something different now. A lot of talk has been about under 21 players during the course of the season. I would like to know who in your guys has been the best under 21 player this season and what in terms of his ceiling, how high can he reach? How far can he go? And we can start with AJ with this one.
Hello?
With me?
Hello?
Yeah, we can start with
All right, well, since you want me to get the ball rolling, I'm talking Premier League. There's no way you're going to get me to say anyone else other than a player in my team because I have youth players in my team who have been impacting the team. So that's where I'm going to start. And I'm going to say the answer is Bukayo Saka, right? Don't expect me to say anybody else from any Premier League team. Call me a homer, whatever it is. I don't care. I'm going to say Saka, and it's because I obviously watch this guy plenty, right? And he has become an integral part of of Arsenal's team. And I think his value to the team can't necessarily be just quantified. So it's not about the goals and assists and all sort of things. So if you bring them numbers to me, you can go in one year and go the next with regards to this discussion. Just in the most recent game, the win against Leeds. Now, mind you, in the most recent game, the win against Leeds, pretty sure Aubameyang, I didn't check after the match, but Aubameyang scored a hat-trick, so he more than likely, 99.9% chance he's a player of the game, right? But the player who affected the game the most for Arsenal was Bukayo Saka. He was the one, and bear in mind, this is a game where Arteta tried his hardest to fit both Martin Odegaard and Emile Smith-Rowe in the lineup, right? And these are supposed to be the two players who are the creative entities in the team. More so Odegaard, of course. But in any case, Saka was the one who was driving the team forward. He was the one getting into spaces, playing quick 1-2s, running past defenders. He earned 2 penalties, but due to poor refereeing, one of them was taken away. Don't care what anyone has to say, that is a penalty. It was a clumsy challenge, and the penalty should have stood. There's no way that whoever it was as referee should have turned that over. But I digress. The fact of the matter is, and then, yeah, he earned another penalty later on in the game, which was converted by Oba. I just think that Arsenal is a completely different team when he plays versus when he doesn't. He's had that kind of effect on the game because other than that, we do not have a player in the team who does what he does in like the final third, like being able to get past defenders. And while we're still languishing in mid-table, in terms of youth players, the youth, I'm going to say it to Saka.
What's his ceiling? How far you think he can go?
Ceiling? So that's another discussion. That's another area for me, right?
Okay, so we'll just halt on you for a moment.
Oh no! I could. I'll be succinct. I've always been very critical of English players, and Saka is English, so I'm not going to go as far as saying world class. I think right now he can be a very good player.
Okay. Jilks, we will go with you here next.
All right. My player is Wesley Fofana. This guy, when he came into Leicester, I don't think he came in to be a starter. I don't think he came in to do as well as he has done so far for the season. He has started 16 games. They have 5 clean sheets. So what is the clean sheets are not that? Anyone watching Leicester notice that this guy, by the age of 20, he's a commanding centre-back. He bosses the game, he bosses the strikers, and he does very well. Whilst he may not, the clean sheets are not there, the stats, certain stats may not be there for centre-back. At the age he's at, I think what he has done for the Premier League, as we know, the Premier League is one of the most difficult leagues for centre-back, especially a young centre-back to come into and just settle and run, especially for the club that he's at. Leicester, as we know, they're aiming for the top 4, and they have been thereabouts. Right now, they're thereabouts again this season compared to last season. Just let's hope that they don't fall off the trail again. So far, what he has done this season, I think let me not say he's one of the best players, not the best players, because as we know, they're attacking players, and it chose this time to go with a defender because most of y'all would choose attackers when the time comes. So Fofana is my guy. In terms of his ceiling, I think that he could become a world class, but I think that would take time, maybe 8 years, 9 years or so. But for sure, right now he's already a good centre back. So from here now, it's only up.
So his ceiling is world class. That's what you're saying, or
he can get to be a world class centre back. There are very few world class centre backs. So
you expect that Wesley Fofana will be purchased sometime over the course of the next couple of years. For him to fulfill your vision of him, he would need to.
Once he keeps up with doing what he has done so far this year, as we know, he may have an injury, it may fall off, but once he keeps up doing what he started this season doing, yes, he will be purchased within the next 3 years, whether it be by another Premier League club or a club abroad. He definitely will be purchased
by a bigger club.
Bigger club, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I could take that. Mr. Marley.
Mm.
So we have Saka on one side and we have Wesley Fofana
on the other. I actually like I actually like Fofana, to be honest. I like him as well. I ain't gonna be as dirty as Dom's there with all the faces in the top left and so on. Just. Yeah, I actually like Wesley Fofana though. I watched him earlier. I watched him a lot this season, and he impressed me. I can tag him goalie for this question, but he impressed
Clearly
me.
you were easily impressed.
He impressed me. He did well. I like Ajay's pick as well, but Saka's very good. Saka's another player that I like as well. But I gotta go with Phil Foden. I gotta give the Stockport Iniesta the nod, according to the English. That's what the English call it. I don't know if that's the case of that or not, but he's a Stockport Iniesta for now. But yeah, Phil, I think that why, even though I like Saka as well, I think why I am impressed with Phil too is because he's in a side with a manager that is notoriously hard to impress. In Pep Guardiola, because for obvious reasons he will claim that he's seen it all and in terms of the very best, so on and so forth. He also has to fit into a system that is, I don't want to say rigid, because that football is some of the most fluid football you see, but I mean rigid in terms of Pep's tactics and how he wants to play and how he wants you to set up in that system. And I find that he was struggling to get into the team a lot, especially very early in the season. And David Silva left. Everybody expected him to be getting the time, but the time wasn't coming. The time on the pitch wasn't coming. And he literally had to fight his way into that side. But just every time he got minutes, he came in, he produced. It was an assist here, it was a goal here. He looked good, and he made sure that he forced the manager's hand. And we could see that Pep wasn't necessarily intent on playing him every game, but just based on the sheer weight of performances, he made sure that he had to be a starter, and he was put in that side. And I found that was impressive from Phil. He's starting to get returns as well. 5 goals, 3 assists at this point. I think that's pretty good based on the number of starts that he's had, and the number of minutes that he's had as well. I think he's matured. He's matured this year, definitely. And so far, I think it would be pretty difficult to bring somebody clear cut. You can tell me under 21 has been better than Phil this year, to be honest.
I will say this to you, Marley. I think that your pick has been so far, to me, in my opinion, the best pick of the lot. Although I would like to hear.
It's a good thing we didn't ask for that opinion, though. It's a good thing we did not ask for that opinion.
although I didn't hear you mention on his potential ceiling, like how far.
In terms of ceiling, again,
I mean, he's also English.
He's also English, and I gotta be very, very skeptical when it comes to the English, especially with the media hype that comes with them. Then there's the fact that you are also playing in the English Premier League. Shoot, if you manage to spit straight enough and you English, the commentators and the media are gonna be telling me
they can rip you up.
Yeah. So it's like you gotta be very careful with the English. But I think with Phil, I would genuinely go on with saying that he seems to have something a bit different than the average English player. He's not the average English player that you would see. He seems to have something a bit different. Whether or not he can continue to fulfill and deliver on that potential, because again, bear in mind, he's at Manchester City. He's one injury, one long layoff away from being forgotten in the reserves for a while. When he comes back, Pep has bought somebody else. It could be that easy at Manchester City. So he's in a side that's ultra competitive. It has a lot of star players, and he has to continue to perform. In terms of his ceiling, I could see him becoming a very good player. That's the truth. I don't want to throw the world-class tag out there just yet.
And that's understandable.
Yeah, I really don't want to throw it out there just yet because of those side reasons. You're at Manchester City. You haven't fully established yourself yet. You're playing under Pep Guardiola that could that could basically handpick who he wants when he wants. It could be tricky. So
with players like that, be very cautious, right?
Yeah,
Because you're stepping on hot coals. You don't know what could potentially happen, and it could just take a simple injury that to derail a career, right? But
for sure.
in the context of this conversation, for me, I had to go with a man who I felt a lot of people felt that he would have not been able to step up to the table. Nuno Santo decided at the start of the season to sell Jota to Liverpool, and many were questioning that decision. However, Pedro Neto has come into the fore, coming off the fringes of last season where he wasn't given a lot of playing time. He didn't showcase that he was going to be next level, but he's come leaps and bounds this season. The young 20-year-old Portuguese international and many, Portuguese players have been coming to the fore, especially at Wolves. We've seen Bruno Fernandes at Manchester United. We've seen it across the globe. Portuguese football is hitting a purple patch. And reason that I've hit Pedro Neto is because he's come to the fore here. He's been able to play a variety of positions for Nuno Santo, even though he's changed the formation at Wolves to accommodate for at the back. Pedro has been used as the number 10. He's been used from the left and from the right, and he's even being utilized as a striker position. And one of the key aspects here is his creative ability, his ability to weave between defenders, move into channels, and impact the game. And I feel as though that is one of the reasons I've highlighted him. The thing about it is, right, he's scored winners against Chelsea this season, Arsenal, Southampton, and Fulham. There's not enough mention of that, maybe because he's not an English player, but he's impacted games tremendously this season. And for me, when you look at what he's done and what he's now going to do at Wolves, it's only a matter of time before some bigger club comes in for Pedro Neto. So that's right to me. If we're looking at holistically at all these players, all these under 21 players, it has to be Pedro Neto because his ceiling, you can't really pinpoint how far he can go because there's so much talent in there. It's just about if it can be extracted, consistently.
You ain't getting away with that. You're not getting away with that.
Is he more talented than Phil Foden or Bukayo Saka?
What? Let me check me quick. You call 4 out of the 5 goals he had all season. 4, which means he only scored against one more team.
So wait, hold on. So just you now highlighted my point. If you just said he scored out of 5 goals, I highlighted 4 of them, and he's been decisive in those 4 games against top opposition. When you're looking at Arsenal and Chelsea, then it means that he's not only shown his footballing IQ, but he's been decisive in major matches. So, and that has been an issue for a lot of players.
But what has happened to the minor games?
He's played well.
Before scoring.
You don't always have to impact a game by scoring, sir. Let me just make that known first, right? You do not. Your passes.
Playing the role he's playing. He has to, because there's no Jimenez, there's no Raul, there's no number 9. He is the number 9, so he has to score.
No, sir. The number 10, Daniel Podence, and they have Roman Saiz. They have impacted the game as well. He, as a 20-year-old, bear in mind, this guy is still particularly young. He's still coming into his own. It will take some time to develop that level of consistency necessary to be a top player in this league. But he's shown enough to dispel all these others.
All I want from you is, because I can let the people know that these are your questions, So you can't formulate a question and then come and skimp out on part of the answer. I'm not having that. I am not having that here. You asked all of us what is the ceiling. I want a more definitive answer than what you can't really highlight the I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what, based on what based on your assessment of the player, your scout report just now. I want to hear what I think that's a fantastic choice. Like I said, personally, I was not going to go with anyone other than Saka. I don't care how good they were, right? I want to hear what you have to say right now. You think his
okay? So what I'm seeing from him, I think, like I said before, I think it's just a matter of time before he leaves Wolves. The decision to go to a bigger club is absolutely key. playing under a particular manager. I do believe ceiling-wise, I would say a very good player because I err on the side of caution here. I think he can be a very good player.
That's all I know. That's all I wanted.
Well, you got what you wanted, sir.
That was like pulling teeth. That was like pulling teeth.
So yeah, guys. So judging by the information I know provided to you, I think Pedro Neto is in a firm position to cement himself as one of the best under-21 players in the Premier League today. Now, I do understand Marley's case for Phil Foden, and it's commendable. I think that is a really good show, but I think the competition is between those two, to be quite honest, because Phil Foden has shown tremendous ability over the last 2 seasons and growth. I just look at growth. And you can look at Neto's growth. Wait, hold on. You can look at Neto's growth from season to season. You can look at Phil Foden's growth as well. For the other two guys, Fofana, there ain't much to say about the lad.
Bukayo Saka broke into Arsenal's team last season and played so well. He got a call up to England. What more growth you want? What more growth is?
Yeah, but he won't be on the flight for the Euro though.
You see how the goalpost moving now? Talk about growth. I gave you a staunch example of growth.
Phil could say that he could count himself in that setup easily, but Saka got to take time though. His moment will come.
Pardon?
Will come.
But you talking about growth, big man?
I think Saka on the flight.
Yeah, go ahead, Marley. Go ahead.
I think Saka on the flight, and the reason I say this, right, is because I understand why Dom got reservations, because you got men like Sterling, Sancho, almost untouchables in that attacking top third of the pitch that have to go, quote unquote have to go. But Bukayo Saka has shown it's not just a flash in the pan. From last year up until now, since he's broken into the Arsenal side, the lad has shown that he can play a variety of positions. And when you have a player like that is that young, that energetic, that sprightly, and is tactically sound enough for you to take him from right forward to left wing back to left back, or we put him at left attacking mid if you so choose, just based on what formation you want to play. You cannot. It would be an injustice to leave for Bukayo Saka if this form continues. Dom, you could stretch your eyes as far as you want to stretch your eyes.
Y'all are letting Dom get away with a criminal act here. Dom is moving the goalpost. The first thing Dom said when he said that this race is between Foden and Neto, he said the first thing he said, correct me if I'm wrong, is that they have shown the most growth. I then brought Exhibit A to show exactly how Saka has grown. Next thing I hear about, he can be on the plane and Foden can sit and all sorts. That's not the discussion. We're talking about growth and this season. What happens after that? And Marley, I think you made a very excellent point about Saka and why he should be in the team. And to be quite honest, I feel like Saka would be there before Foden, just because he's versatile, because he's of his versatility. Not to say Foden should be left home. I'm saying if it came down to like spaces being limited and Southgate decides, all right, one of the youngsters has to go, I feel like he would take Saka before, just because Saka could play a variety of positions.
So just was your thinking on this?
Foden could play roles as well, but
exactly
he can't play the defensive role, but he can play the attacking role. So I would say if it comes down to limited spaces, Saka has to go. For the simple part, you can use him as maybe a left back, a left wing back, if needed. But like Ajay is saying, he's not saying that he's better than him. He's saying if it comes down to limited spaces and you need that versatility, you're going to take Saka.
All I'm trying to tell you is that you can't. There's no great disparity between Foden and Saka.
I wouldn't say that.
But so then, how are you telling me? How are you telling me that Saka's name can be mentioned amongst Neto and what's the boy named Foden right now?
Foden.
The simple fact you've forgotten Foden and just highlighted Neto is a service to Neto. I thank you for that, my friend. I kindly thank you for that.
That was a Freudian slip. You don't mind that?
And Neto is firmly going to be placed in the Portuguese setup. He has no worries with that in regards, right? A very talented Portuguese setup to be
There's
honest.
nothing. That's not what we're talking about. You love to move goalposts, big man.
Sir, I just want to highlight my player. Sir, I'm just highlighting my player.
You just work grounds. Use a groundsman. You just work ground somewhere. You love to move the goalposts, brother.
Yo, you gotta make sure it clean though. So since we was on the topic of under 21s and we moved to speak about England, a lot of thought has been made about Trent Alexander-Arnold, and a lot of people feel as though he may not be on that flight to the Euro. He's been the target of a lot of criticism as a result of Liverpool's flailing form, and I feel as though that has coincided with his play as well. But I would like to hear from the guys. Like, do you think Trent Alexander-Arnold, is there someone to competitively put him out of the England team? We can start with you, Marley.
I think a tentative yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on Trent's form, yeah, I firmly still believe that Trent will be number one. As long as Trent is fit, I still firmly believe Trent Alexander-Arnold is number one. When the first game of the Euros kicks off, Trent Alexander-Arnold is number one. If Southgate, let me say for argument's sake, were to think, okay, Trent is, let's say the form continues right throughout till the end of the season, and Southgate thinks, oh my God, man, this man is absolutely horrible at this point. I don't know how Trent's star has fallen so far. And the good thing is I have backups. Yeah, you could probably play. You got Rhys James, you got James Justin that was proving that he's very versatile. He's very consistent. He was doing very well as well. I just don't see. Sorry?
He's out for the season.
Yeah, exactly. James Justin was proving until he come and got hurt too. So that's another reason that would strengthen the Alexander-Arnold point even more, even if it did need strengthening. I just don't see how you drop Alexander-Arnold or banish a man a young player that you've essentially had as a central cog in your setup and in your side for the past couple of years, really, who's really just risen to the top of the game. Yes, he's having a blip. Yes, he's not been playing very well this season. That being said, he's never been the best of defenders, but his attacking qualities do kind of mask it, and that's what we love about him as well. But right now, I'd say 10%, really. 90% Alexander-Arnold still starting right back.
We completely agree with one another. Yeah. So you can just hit up Ajay for the next. What you think on that?
I don't think there's any way he gets replaced, barring injury. And I'm saying
we on the same side today. Whoa.
If I knew that beforehand, I wouldn't say so. But yeah.
So let me just piggyback on what Ajay said. He's absolutely correct in that regard. I feel as though also what Trent brings to the table is that European experience. Having played in Champions League finals in the latter stages of competitions, I feel as though that is a positive for him in terms of the competition he faces, in terms of other players that plays right back. And England have a plethora of players, whether it be the St. James Justin, Rhys James, Tariq Lamptey. Yeah. There are a lot of players that you can call that can play the right back position. However, considering his attacking prowesses and his dead ball ability, there's none better than Trent Alexander-Arnold in Gareth Southgate's eyes. He may bring someone else as backup or as someone that could supplement a position for him, but Trent also can play in midfield. Those are positives that Trent Alexander-Arnold brings to the table. So there's no way I can see him being left off the flight to the Euro.
As well too, Dom, just really quickly too. Sometimes, and this is to Ajay's point too, where he was saying that sometimes international managers don't necessarily pay as much attention to club form as we would like to think. Gareth Bale and Wales, as much of a problem or as hard or rough as a time as Bale was having in Madrid for the past, let me say 16 months or so, for that year and some, when Bale has left and met up with Wales, Gareth Bale has been in impeccable form for the Welsh side. So to be honest, sometimes international football can offer a bit of a respite for a player as well. It's a change of surroundings, is a change of squad essentially. And you get him to play in a different system sometimes more often than not too. So at the end of the day, that could be a bit of an oasis really for Trent when he goes away with England, gets to see some familiar faces that ain't so familiar, a la Liverpool squad players, and able to go and express himself differently. And we might see the old, quote unquote, old Trent Alexander-Arnold again, just based on the fact that a change of scenery.
To be quite honest with you though, Marty, the analogy to me doesn't completely iron out the details here, because there's no one else for Wales that I feel as though Chris Coleman or whoever is the Wales manager would have brought in for Gareth Bale. He is the savior there. He's the most accomplished player they have at present. So I cannot see. Even
yeah, but if you're struggling, you're struggling, though. If you're struggling, you're struggling. If you're struggling, regardless of if you get a player or not, in my opinion, if you're struggling, you're struggling. But let me say Gareth went to Wales and was still looking like how he was looking at Madrid. I think it would be a better point. But if the man supposedly performing ever so poor at Madrid, but then going and linking up with Wales and banging in free kicks and assisting and looking like a completely different player altogether, I think that I take your point to a certain extent, but still, I mean,
yeah, because to me, the whole thing is about competition. Trent got guys pushing him for the position right now, but still, I think he brings added value and an X factor that the others don't possess. And one, like I said, he could hit a pretty great free kick. When you look at the ball ability he has, he can play in midfield. He's a really good passer of the ball. And we had a poll on our Instagram about Trent Alexander-Arnold, and most people felt as though he could be replaced. And I was just dumbfounded by that, because there was no way I could have, even Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think he's probably the closest in people's eyes between he and Reece James as to those that really competing for that spot. And then you still got Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier. So I can just hand it over to Jilts. Like in terms of all this competition, is really Trent under question here?
Honestly, no. But for me, in this question, I think everybody here has said it. No.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, like you say, the closest thing is Wan-Bissaka. To a lot of extent, Reece James, but to me, Reece James is not even cemented his spot, because when it ended up, speed the still play and he rotates, and they rotate. So he would definitely be one of the first names on the plane when it comes to Euros. Even if his form keeps up the way how he's going for the rest of the season. In terms of Trippier and Walker, as we know, if Southgate sticks to the three at the back, they usually play the right centre back, and you still have to play the right wing back. So when they end up, Trent would be on the field, and if anything, Wan-Bissaka will be his backup, unless he gets a serious injury coming on to the end of the season. Because even if he picks up a little knock, I think he will still be on the plane, because as we know, Euros will be 2-3 games, and he will still be back. So definitely Trent will be going to on the plane with the rest of the England team.
So let me just say this, right? For the first time on this show, all 4 members have agreed.
It's true.
That this is an amazing feat. I would like the guys to pat themselves on the back. We all share the same sentiment. I am actually amazed. I thank you all for agreeing with Doms. You know, thank you.
What do I agree with Doms?
Ajay, you want to say something?
All right, so just allow me to play devil's advocate for a minute, right? Because I can understand why people will vote and say that Trent's place is under threat, essentially, right? However, for me, this is down to what I've seen in the past and Southgate's basically history of his selection process, right? And to me, he tends to keep players past a little past their sell date. He did it in the goalkeeping position previously. He's doing it right now with the same goalkeeping position. And I'm just saying. In this case, and in this case, I don't even think that Trent is in a position where he's like as detrimental to. He would be as detrimental to the team as say a bad goalkeeper. So is mainly for those reasons. And Dom, okay, so you said that Marley's example of Bale wasn't the best, but to kind of like go back to that point that I made, right? So take for example Giroud and France, because remember we carried him to the World Cup. He did not have a good season that year.
Yes,
that was the year he went to Chelsea in January, and he
struggled for game time.
He wasn't
the World Cup either.
correct. And he played foolishness in the World Cup. Well, played foolishness in terms of like he didn't score goals, but he was linking up well. But that just kind of goes back to my point that if a manager believes that you offer something to the team on your best day, he's going to pick you. And I think that's the case with Trent. Like Trent on the form for Liverpool is not going to be Trent at England, because like Marley said too, when they get into that locker room and it's a different kind of vibe and you got familiar and unfamiliar faces and whatnot, is a different sort of feeling and
energy.
And energy. So yeah, I believe that Southgate will think along those lines, and Trent plays secure, man, because what he offers, no one else in that team is going to offer. At this point.
I would say, Jills, anything you want add or?
Nah, I think Ajay hit the nail on the head there. He's gonna go. The locker room and stuff will definitely add to the with him being more mature and being able to secure a start over. Basically say start over and be fresh and be refreshed rather than being at Liverpool now where he and Robertson is basically the more mature centre backs, because technically they are not centre backs defenders, because they're basically the only defenders that they have. So nothing much to add.
I just want to make one further point, right? And the reason I use the poll, certain statistics can be skewed and change the narrative of a situation. And this misplaced pass poll that I put up about Trent made him seem like a villain. However, when you're playing such an attacking vein of football going forward, you're asked to be a bit more creative. And especially with the tactics employed by Jurgen Klopp, he's asked to play a lot higher up. So he's going to play more decisive balls, more defense splitting balls. So it's easier for those passes to be misplaced. However, just for an example, Kevin De Bruyne, there was a game Kevin De Bruyne had about 38 misplaced passes. He effected that game with 6 chances created. He had an assist and he had a goal. So don't just look at the broad statistic and say, well, you know what, because he has 40 misplaced passes, he's having a poor game. Not necessarily. That's not the case, right? So I just wanted to make that point. Going forward too as well, since we have some La Liga guys once again, these men becoming a mainstay on the show, J-Boy. These men valuable to our cause. But in any case, the Merengues, a very interesting question. Will they cut their losses with Eden Hazard? I know he's had a very difficult time, and Real Madrid doesn't really give a player the necessary time to improve or even to get over that hump. Jilts, did we start with you, the Barcelona man? Will they give him time or they going forward?
Scandalous, boy. You are scandalous, boy.
You can't help it. You cannot help it.
But start with the Barcelona, man.
It's expected. But on a serious note, in my opinion,
and before you start, Jilts, if there's anything you need to get off your chest, you can do that here, right?
Since apparently that's a thing, though. That's a thing.
I don't think in this case I need to get it off my chest. So yeah, I mean, as we know, Madrid is, as much as Madrid had issues and stuff. But right now, Madrid is they're in front of me in the table, but I have a game in hand. Once I win, I will be able to be back in front of them. But even though they were laughing at me later early in the season when I was in 12th place and in 9th place and stuff, but that's early. The race is not for the swift.
Nicely
we will see
put.
what position I will finish in at the end of the season. But on to the Madrid question. In my opinion, I honestly believe that they would not cut Hazard at the end of the season. Was he has flopped, in my opinion. His injuries, he has when he was there, he's not performed. His goals are not coming like how they were coming at Chelsea. He's not assisting. He's not linking up with the players, and all of that is due down to him in chopping in and out with all these niggling injuries that he has picked up since he made the move to Madrid. So I don't think they were cutting him at the end of this season. I think they will give him maybe 6 months in the next season to see where he is, and if he does nothing in those 6 months, well, as Madrid comes and goes, you will come and go, and he'll be shipping out of the always by the end of next season. If they let him go this season, but we know they're only going for one person. They're going to France. They're going to try to get Mbappe as the replacement if they ship him out this season at the end of the season. I mean, even if they don't, they may still end up trying to get the Mbappe. But with Corona, we know that the money is not there, the funds are not there. But by letting go Hazard, the funds they may not even get half of what they paid for him, because right now he has declined tremendously from his heights.
So just with the point you just made in terms of trying to get Kylian Mbappe, don't you think by season end, as a result in the question, that they could try to get something back on their investment and use the funding necessary to supplement for Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland, or
Well, if a club be willing to take Hazard off of them, because when they end up right now, all of the clubs are strapped for money. That is the reality that we have to be in now. They are really strapped for money. So it's a case here, because one, they have to pay the fee, and you got to pay the wages. And we know wages is more of the bigger issue than paying the transfer fee at the moment. Look at Bale. The whole issue with Bale as running to Spurs, and it. Look at him. He's not even playing now, but his issue was mainly getting those wages off of Madrid books.
And Spurs are only paying 50% of those wages.
Precisely. After all of that, they're only paying half. So they may not have to ship him on a loan, because right now next season will be tough on a lot of these clubs.
So before we go to the Madrid man himself, I want to hear my guy Ajay's point of view on this issue. Where he stands in regards to Eden Hazard.
Well, asked Jokes a question, and I feel like you got into exactly what I was going to say. So thank you for that, by the way. But I feel like I feel like Real Madrid will try to sell him, and I feel like they should. I'm going to put that word in there, because this has been an unholy union. I believe that I agreed with the transfer when it happened. I think that Hazard needed to make that step, and I think that I could understand Real Madrid wanting him at that point, despite what anybody else may think. I could understand it, and I think it was a good idea at that point. But sometimes transfers just don't go how you expect them to, and it's not down to any party in particular. I cannot blame. Correct. I can't necessarily blame a player for being injured unless it is, that he has some unhealthy training practices, such as we saw in the video. But you know what? That's a different topic. I'm just saying. A player picking up injuries is always going to be a part of football, and I think how it's happened with Hazard has been a bit unlucky. But at this point, you need to cut losses, and especially with Real Madrid, how Real Madrid is they are a fluid club. If you're not playing, you need to get out, because we can bring somebody else in. And just how Jilks outlined the fact that clubs right now are strapped for cash. The only way to bring in big money signings, and Real Madrid are still going to want to do that, because I don't believe they want to lose out on Mbappe specifically. If I have to call one name, I would say I don't believe that they want to miss out on Mbappe, right? And the only way to do that right now is to, as you say, cut your losses. As you said, Dom, kind of cut your losses, try to make something back on that investment that they made in Hazard and sell him. Now the question came up about Jilks mentioned who might take him. I've seen so far that Chelsea are linked with him back. I don't know how true it is. It could just be the media creating reports, but I honestly can't see Hazard being short of suitors should he be on the transfer market at Real Madrid. Somebody is going to buy him somewhere, even if there has to be some arrangement made for payments or something like that. Somebody is going to take him, and I think it's the right time. Based on his injury history at Real Madrid itself, doesn't make sense to keep him past this season if he can't complete the season.
So Marley, after everything you've heard from Jerahmeel and from Ajay as well, what was your take on this?
Kudos to the guys. Some very, very diplomatic answers, to be honest. We just expect his saying as it's come from a Barcelona fan, an Arsenal fan, but as a Madrid fan, let me get into this right here.
Yeah, the floor is yours, sir. The floor is yours.
Bring the proverbial dotted line. Let me sign. Bring the proverbial chopping block. Let me cut off the head. Hazard, go. But they go. At this point, I think Hazard can go. And it's not because
I am shocked by this response.
No, I see Hazard can go. You know, this is why I say this. And I know a lot of Madrid fans might disagree with me on this point, but I have seen how so-called Madrid fans have treated Gareth Bale and the Gareth Bale situation. A man that came to Madrid and hit the ground running. I don't care what you tell me. I've been supporting Real Madrid for years, right? And the amount of support so-called
this get very personal. I apologize.
That's passion. Let him continue.
The amount of so-called big name signings that I have seen come to Real Madrid are flop. Yeah? And you got a man that came to Madrid, hit the ground running in the first season. You play with somebody with the size ego as Cristiano Ronaldo, who was upset at the very transfer fee that was paid for you. So it's like you come into all this pressure. You don't speak the language, nothing. You hit the ground running. And then seasons after you did what you did, Bale has accomplished unprecedented things at Real Madrid and has received all types of abuse and disrespect from all corners of Madrid fandom.
He's being target of criticism, that is for sure.
That being said, you set the benchmark, fam. You put down the pose, you put down the flag. I do not want to hear no excuses for Eden Hazard. I like Eden Hazard. That's the truth. Eden Hazard has played a combined 24 La Liga games. 24 La Liga games. 14 short of a full season in 2 years. For a combined 3 goals and 4 assists. Fam, if that is not flopping, I do not know what that is.
Sir, so let me just step in here for a moment, right? You just said that he's played a combined 24 games. He has had 9 injuries. He has been a positive coronavirus case. He's had flailing factors and extenuating factors to impact his game at Real Madrid. You don't feel as though that in itself is enough to buy him time? The thing for me, right, is that Eden Hazard staying at Real Madrid is heavily dependent on the manager. If Zinedine Zidane is still there next season, right, I think the probability of Hazard being there is higher than if a new manager comes in, because a new manager might want to implement different.
Yeah, correct. The problem is that there's no guarantee that Zinedine Zidane might be there at the end of the season. This Madrid that we're talking about, after all, Zidane's a club legend. Zidane is a borderline god. We know this at Real Madrid, but there's no guarantee that he's going to be there at the end of the season. In my opinion, the question is, will they cut ties with him? If all things considered, I think they would. I think they should, and I think eventually they will. But might there be mitigating factors that could come in and skew everything, and Hazard still ends up at Madrid next season? Yes, but I think they would. I think they should, and I think Hazard should go. Hazard should go, and we should go after. We need a freshener at that front line. We need somebody that can affect and impact games directly. And Hazard has shown repeatedly that he is not that at the moment. Unfortunately for him, he's had a plethora of injuries. That's unfortunate, and I'm sorry for that. But at the end of the day, as a fan, you want your marquee signing. playing and you want him producing. He has not done that.
So from the standpoint of what Jill said, Jill stated something about finances, and I just want to piggyback on that, right? Hazard has a contract about 400,000 a week. You paid over 100 million to ascertain Eden Hazard, and still there was bonuses and attachments placed on that transfer fee as well. Now, there's no way that you're going to reap 100% of that investment. It's simply not going to be possible. So you got to look at how much can you get for Eden Hazard, and he's fallen off in terms of at least 50%, because a lot of the other clubs that will be looking at him will be also looking at his injury history. Can he come to this club and can he perform here? Will he still be injured? Because he's developed an injury proneness. So I feel like those factors may be a stumbling block. Like Jay said, he will have suitors, but there will be a lot of questions from suitors. Can he be ready? Is he going? What type of transfer fee will it be? And it will need to be enough for Real Madrid to sell. And his wages, he may have to take a pay cut. He's only 30 years old.
Will.
As it takes, or Real Madrid will have to at some point say, well, we are going to supplement 50% or 60% of the wages just so that he can get off the books.
Yeah, but let me just say this, Dom. Let me just say this real quick. Before you move on, I am fully aware of the current economic climate that we're in. And Jux was entirely correct when he said the climate that we're in might mean that we might not even be able to go after somebody else. But my opinion on it is, right, just knowing Real Madrid and knowing Florentino Perez and his like penchants for marquee signings and for those signings to come at impact and like even if we are necessarily in the Galactico era, still just somebody to be a throwback to it at least then. Perez will want a statement, even in this type of economic climate.
I do
That's
agree.
what Hazard was supposed to be. He has if Eden Hazard had let me say for all intents and purposes, had scored 10 goals, he had looked moderate and not very poor. I would say no, Madrid. I might not even agree with it, but Madrid might be cool and give him another season. I think right now, the level of flop that Hazard has been, right now Florentino is looking for a way that he may be able to even move him around, shift some pieces, and try to get himself Kylian Mbappe or Erling Haaland, either or. And I feel, and I would like it to be more leaning towards Kylian Mbappe, to be quite honest. But I just think that it's just how poor he has been. If he had been a bit better, I would be leaning more towards he stays. Right now, I still think he could stay, but he's been so poor. I think that Perez will want somebody else. Perez will want.
So you think that in terms of Madrid's priorities in the summer, because you still have to address the midfield. Modric is aging; he's about 34, 35.
Yeah,
Toni Kroos is at their age as well. How long can they continue? Is another question that will be posed to Perez and Zinedine Zidane. Is the Hazard issue enough to push it over the top that he is the number one or number two priority in terms of what Madrid do in the summer? That I feel like those questions, for me, the probability of his staying is heavily dependent on Zidane, but still there are other things that need addressing at Madrid before you can really address the Hazard situation. And that's just me saying so. But the floor is open. Anybody that want? AJ?
I said what I had to say about it. I think Real Madrid should try to move on, and
Okay.
that the key word for me is should.
Agreed.
I'm not on the fence about it. I feel like they should.
So me and Jill saying, well, I think the probability is lower in regards to what they're saying, but I know you're saying that he should go, he should stay. Actually, Madrid should keep him.
Yeah. Just due to the economic times.
So since we on Madrid, there's the issue of the Champions League. I would like to know from the guys, is there any potential upsets in these Champions League ties?
Definitely.
And AJ, we can start with you because it's nice to start with you every once in a while, so that I could done your point. Go ahead, sir.
Honestly, I mean, even looking at the ties, right? I think I honestly I sorry about this jokes, but I feel like the biggest potential, upset here looking like PSG over Barca. That's possibly it. That's possibly it. I don't know how much I believe it would actually happen. I don't know how much I believe it would actually happen, but I can't look at any other tie and basically think that like feel like yeah the underdog here. I don't see it. I don't see it any other place. I mean, I know I could go on based on recency bias and potentially say that well, you know it based on Liverpool's form that Leipzig. No, I don't see that. I think that it could be PSG over Barca.
So yeah, let me ask Wade because right now Barcelona started off the season poor. PSG was on a high. They're still on a high. Barcelona no finding defeat. Why would it be an upset?
You said poor, but it's deplorable. Go ahead.
Upset in terms of the actual odds. Like Barcelona are favored to go through on that time, aren't they?
So well, there were in the beginning when they were drawn because due to the fact that Barcelona is expected to go to the quarterfinals.
Right, exactly. So in the bookmakers odds, are you all still favored?
I'll bring back the odds.
That's the odds I have to go by because
that's what constitute favorites, right, Ajay?
Yeah, exactly.
So I can go right after Jay, right? And I can say that for me, the tie of the wrong and the one that people really should look at carefully. The optics of this game can be excruciating. Is Atalanta versus Real Madrid. I feel as though I think potentially that is the upset tie because Real Madrid has been inconsistent this season. I've seen them in the Champions League inconsistent. They've been league inconsistent. And we all know is Real Madrid. Oh yeah, we 13-time champions. We don't get beat. When it's European time, we just win. I get all of that. However, Atalanta have been a dangerous opponent. And last season, they had their first taste of Champions League football. They went out. But I feel as though now with the experience of being in the Champions League, and when you look at Serie A, they've gotten results against all the major clubs and the top 6 in Serie A. And they've beaten some of the best. They just beat AC Milan 3-0. They're a very dangerous team, very good on the counter, very good from wide positions. I feel as though Atalanta could really take something from Real Madrid.
Well, for me, jumping on that, I would say mine is Atletico Madrid versus Chelsea. That is the upset there. I know Atletico Madrid has been on top of their game, their usuals. Solid at the back, but I think Chelsea will nick them with this new blood that they have with the manager. Yeah, what is you saying, Chelsea? Look at what he has done. Well, it may not only be that, it may be the players. What is Atletico love this off the ball? We can stand back. I don't think that would be a good ploy versus this Chelsea team with the quality that they have. So that is my upset. Chelsea over Atletico for this round. Hoping.
Marley?
I guess I could save some face for you, Dom, and say that I get what you might say Atalanta, Madrid. I mean, we've proven that when we come up against some energetic, nippy, technical midfields and forward lines, we could be susceptible to the counter. As you alluded to earlier, we got Cruz in there, who's 30 but might as well be 34, playing from 16. Modric at 34, Casemiro. So yeah, we've proven susceptible to the counter and to some nippy, energetic sides in the past, but it's Champions League, Dom. It's Champions League on Madrid, Dom.
It's always this with Madrid, man.
It's always national energy, man. Come on, man. To be honest, I get what you say, tricky. But I refuse to fuel that. I refuse to add any kind of, I ain't helping out that argument at all. Madrid will come and do what Madrid does in Europe.
All right,
yeah?
all right.
In my opinion, the tricky tie for me is the Leipzig Liverpool tie. Leipzig have proven that they are efficient on both sides of the ball.
Yes.
Leipzig, you 4 points off of the top in Germany. You only concede 18 goals all year. I mean, I know Germany is a different kettle of fish to England. Let me just put that in there and don't let the guys think I'm naive. But Leipzig is a very dangerous side for Liverpool because Liverpool have proven right now that defensively they're at a shambles. And that Leipzig side, we know they don't have the biggest star names in the world, but they have some nice technical players, some PSC players in Danny Olmo,
Angelino.
Angelino and someone that can get at you. They really can get at you. And Liverpool have proven that they are not the best defensively right now, and they are stuttering offensively as well. And when you come up against a side that is solid enough defensively, but still can get at you on the counter, but also press you well as well. I think that's a very, very fascinating thing because we know Liverpool will come out and try to press them. We know what Liverpool will come out and try to do, but I think that Nagelsmann and that Leipzig side could come and put a spanner in the works. And you know it's going to be difficult over two legs. Liverpool have some real star power, even though they're out of form. But that Leipzig side, for this Liverpool side in this form, is very, very, very dangerous in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good take. I feel you on that. I went with the juggler when I went with Real Madrid. I do understand the pressure of going with a team against Real Madrid, and I'm willing to face it with criticism for it. But this has been a fantastic show so far. We can conclude here. I want everybody to like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell, please. We'll be back. Ajay, Marley, Jilts, thank you again. And my co-host, Ajay. Love you, man. All right, people. Really be good.
Yo.
Yeah.